Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. Let's go ahead and get started with our guest today. The first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Thomas Burris. I am the co-founder and CEO of Simple IT. And our mission is to help businesses create a secure and effortless technology experience that enables teams to get work done from anywhere and builds bridges between teams.
Fantastic. I suspect that especially in this environment with a lot of remote workers, you're especially busy.
Yep.
Very good. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
Yeah, I think the thing I love about working with a team is the camaraderie. In 10th grade, my geometry teacher always said everyone has a 5-gallon bucket and we just fill it with different things. And, I really love coming together with people who have different things in their buckets and solving problems, because you get to see their perspective and their thoughts on an idea. And as you kind of work to the bottom of a solution, it's a lot better to have those different perspectives than coming at it from a vacuum and only one perspective.
Great thoughts. Yeah, I agree with that camaraderie idea of working with the team. So that's great. Question number 3. I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, engagement is interesting, especially from a technology perspective. I think that's becoming more of a primary way to create culture and engagement for teams and really bridge the gap between different teams like sales and delivery and operations. Especially now as conversations around the evolution of work kind of reach a fever pitch on what comes next after COVID, right? Like we primarily stuck in offices to now we all have to work from home, and do we swing all the way back to the other side? I see a lot of talk about that hybrid model between the two. And I don't think buying some team engagement platform is the answer, but looking at the experience that your business technology is creating and seeing how users are interacting with hardware and software, and really looking at how you can take a human-centered approach instead of just a dollar-centered approach, or seeing it as a cost of business, and being open-minded about how you can create something that raises the bar for a specific team or your entire company to engage differently.
Those are great comments. Question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
Yeah. So I actually, before I started this business, started working in technology, I had a background in church ministry. I was the youth pastor for a little bit. And I think that what we see, I'll draw the relationship here, intentionality and empathy are key. And, coming from that ministry background and having that kind of pastoral, let me relate to you as a person, as well as lead you down a specific path. I think that's the fine line we're seeing leaders are having to start to walk between being authoritarian and micromanaging, or the laissez-faire kind of leadership style of just hands off. Maybe finding some of that balance between the two. I guess it would be kind of the authoritative, that strong presence that commands respect, because you know that they're in the trenches with you, right? That person who's intentional and empathetic to understand what is going on in the lives of the people that they're leading, but also calling them to something bigger than themselves or something greater. I think that's something critical, especially now, right? Like we're seeing the effects of 6-7 months of isolation starting to take its toll on workers. People are working longer. They're spending more time. They're spending all that time they would have commuted actually working. The work-life balance is starting to deteriorate because now work is encroaching on all the other hours of the day, but life is starting to lose those hours, and you're not seeing a regaining of that life perspective during the normal working time. and you're like, people are just getting burned out, and people are getting, mental health problems are on the rise. People are more depressed. People are more anxious. They're less connected. So I think, having leaders who see that and can engage with people and ask the honest questions and be open to the honest answers of like, yeah, I'm not doing well right now. My roommates and I are going at each other's throats. Like we're starting to lose it, just having that empathy and that intentionality of being able to gauge where your people are both professionally, but also in their personal lives. Cause now we have this weird merged, mixed kind of, we don't know where the lines for one start and the other end. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, those are great comments, and I really like your perspective with your ministry and your efforts as a pastor to kind of blend in that sense of caring, that empathy, that compassion for the people, not just the employees by title, but the person that carries the title. And those are great comments. I really like those. Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
So one of them actually was my first boss out of college, who was a pastor at the church I worked at as a youth pastor. His name's Kirk Morledge. Really interesting guy. He's also a Navy chaplain, like active duty Navy chaplain. So he kind of had, a lot of that leadership style, the intentionality, the empathy, but also knew when to draw the line and when you always knew when he meant business, but always felt like he cared about you at the same time. So, a couple other guys who I felt like embodied the same kind of thing, Glenn Weinstein and Chris Bruzzi. I worked for both of them when I was at a company called Aperio. They were great guys. I mean, Glenn was the CIO and showed up on my first day with cupcakes. And he lives in Atlanta, and he showed up in Indianapolis. He was there on other business, but just the fact that he's like, hey guys, how's it going? Oh, hey Thomas, it's your first day. Hey, I brought cupcakes, right? Like just memorable experience for sure.
That's really impressive.
And you always felt like Glenn and Chris really cared about you as a person. So,
it goes a long ways. That goes a long ways.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Yeah, when your people know you care about them, they will move mountains for you.
That's right. Well, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for recognizing those individuals as well. Well, last question. Tell us about your first job.
So I worked at a local hardware store in the town where I grew up, and I stocked all of like the building material hardware, nuts, bolts, screws, nails, all of like the metal joining pieces for framing and those kinds of things. Bags of concrete, drywall, mud, right? Like just grueling work. I also had to go load landscaping material into customer vehicles after they bought it. So bags of gravel and those kinds of things. It's a great, great summer job for a high school kid.
Hard work.
I also learned how to change the electrical ballast on a fluorescent light at 16 because of that job. I don't know if it was legal for me to do it at 16, but I did it, and I did not get electrocuted. So,
well, we're glad you didn't get electrocuted. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
You can find the company website, Simple IT Indy, INDY, like the short version of Indianapolis.com, simpleitindy.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Thomas Burris. Where else? That's about it. I have a very low social media profile.
All right, fair enough. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.